Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today we are doing a book haul. It's a bit of a delayed book haul because these are books that I picked up in the month of January. We're almost at the end of February now, so this pile has been sitting calling to me to be filmed so that I can start putting these books away. So it's time, so let's get into it. As well as books, I've got a few bookish other things to show you as well, so I'm going to do that first to get it out of the way. I'm going to start with some Lego, and I don't know if you have seen these, but Lego came out with this set that had that you could only get as like a bonus set for buying a certain amount of Lego or spending a certain amount of money in the Lego shop. But I did not do that. I bought this from someone who was selling, sorry, I say I bought it, I did not. My husband bought it, and it was a gift, but I know that he got it from somebody who was selling it on. So I was very excited to make my little Book Nook Lego set. I love it. It sits up on my bookshelf, and I'm very, very happy with it. Another thing that I got as a gift, and this will match in, actually, I'm going to show you this one first because as a book, this was also a gift for my birthday because my birthday is in January, and this is A Christmas Carol and Other Writings by Charles Dickens. This was the set that was put out in collaboration T2 and Penguin Books. I have a couple of these. I actually did an unboxing of the first ones that I bought, but this was a gift, and it came with some tea and a mug so that the patterns match, although this one has sort of a blue background whereas this one is a green background, but it's the same design elements. So yeah, this was very exciting to get, even though it was after Christmas, but it was something that I definitely wanted, so very, very happy to receive that as a gift. And then the other thing that I picked up, which was just something that I purchased for myself, I heard about the drop that the Books Unbound podcast did, of a little bit of merch, including 3 rolls of washi tape, which I bought from them. So very exciting to get the washi tape from the Books Unbound podcast, but I also, and probably more importantly, picked up the mug, which I am having my tea in now. I love this mug. I heard Ariel talking about like the quality of this mug and how nice it is to drink out of, and I 100% can confirm I'm a very picky teacup person when it comes to like a ceramic teacup. I was a little bit skeptical about the glass mug, but it's really nice to drink out of. So if you were on the fence about whether or not to get it, because, and you know, I live in Australia, so the shipping was a bit. So yeah, I was a little bit on the fence about it, but I decided to do it anyway. And it came, and I'm almost exclusively now using it. I will mix other things in and use other mugs that I have as well, but eventually. But that's where we're at the moment. I am really enjoying using this mug. So let's get into the books now. That was all of the sort of like book adjacent things, but we're going to start off with another gift. So I actually only have 3, including this one that I've already showed you. I have 3 new books that I've either received or bought. In this, the first one was a gift. This is also a gift. Oh, I've hit my light. Let me readjust that. So this is Modern Art, and it doesn't have a specific author listed. However, it has essays. What did I see? There's like a big list of people who've written essays for this collection, none of whose names I particularly, hang on, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't recognise any of the names myself, but it's put out by, I never know how to say this publisher's name, but is it Taschen? Taschen. So this was a gift from my husband for my birthday, and it's just a collection of talking about different modern artists with illustrations of their paintings and artworks throughout. So yeah, I'm really excited to be able to have this in my art book collection and to be able to flick through it, because I do love it. I love it. So that was the other book that was a gift. The only brand new book that I've purchased in the month of January was this one, and it is called Séance Tea Party by Reimena. I've had this one on my wish list for a while, and I saw it in my local independent bookshop while I was out there shopping with a guest, and I was like, today's the day, and I picked it up from there. So that was exciting. Basically, the Séance Tea Party is a graphic novel, and it says, and it was in the middle grade area, maybe YA, but I don't think quite YA, maybe older middle grade. And it says, growing up is terrible. No one has time to play outside or use their imagination or do anything fun. Who wants that? Not Laura. She's determined to still have fun even after her friends all seem to fade away with their new interests and new friends. A magical tea party introduces Laura to Alexa, the ghost that haunts her house. Alexa will be a kid forever, but what will happen as Laura continues to get older? So it just sounds amazing. Sounds like it's potentially going to be a cozy read, and I'm looking forward to getting into it and meeting these characters and exploring the graphic novel and hopefully really enjoying it. Okay, let's now get into the second-hand portion of this book haul, and I'm just going to move my books a little closer to me. We're going to start with a non-fiction book, and this is the only non-fiction book as far as I can tell that I picked up, and this was a really random book that I have found. I'm just going to move my light so hopefully you can see it. It's called The Lost Pianos of Siberia by Sophy Roberts, and I found this while I was secondhand shopping, and I was obviously just drawn to, what is this book about? Because what an interesting sounding title. And it says on the back, Siberia's story is traditionally one of exiles, penal colonies, and unmarked graves, yet there is another tale to tell. Dotted throughout this remote land are pianos, both grand instruments created during the boom years of the 19th century and humble Soviet-made uprights that found their way into modest homes. They tell the story of how, ever since entering Russian culture under the influence of Catherine the Great, piano music has run through the country like blood. How these pianos travelled into this snowbound wilderness in the first place is testament to noble acts of fortitude by governors, adventurers, and exiles. That stately instruments might still exist in such a hostile landscape is remarkable. That they are still capable of making music in far-flung villages is nothing less than a miracle. But this is Siberia, where people can endure the worst of the world, and where music reveals a deep humanity in the last place on earth you would expect to find it. So it just sounds really fascinating, like a really niche topic, but I love that. And I'm excited to get to it at some point. So I think that's the only non-fiction book that I have here. Moving on to fiction now, and I've sort of grouped these. So I'm going to show you this one because this is probably there's only like 2 quite modern books in this collection, and everything else is kind of classic. So let's have a look at this one. This is Helen Oyeyemi. What is not yours is not yours. Now, I was drawn to this because it has, I'm going to call this a naked spine. So the spine doesn't have any covering. So you just see the binding, and they've printed onto the binding. It's all kind of revealed. And when you open the book up, it because it's not encumbered by any extra like covering of the binding, it just opens out perfectly. So this is going to be very nice to read when I do eventually get to it. And in many ways, just as an object, this is just objectively a beautiful book. So I'm glad to have this in my collection just as an object of beauty. But then when I read the back of it, I was like, yep, let's get this. This sounds amazing. So it says, the stories collected in What Is Not Yours Is Not Yours are linked by more than the exquisitely winding prose of their creator. Helen Oyeyemi's ensemble cast of characters slip from the pages of their own stories only to surface in another. The reader is invited into a world of lost libraries and locked gardens, of marshlands where the drowned dead live, and a city where all the clocks have stopped. Students hone their skills at puppet school, the homely wench society commits a guerrilla book swap, and lovers exchange books and roses on St. Geordie's Day. It is a collection of towering imagination marked by baroque beauty and a deep sensuousness. I mean, yes, sign me up. Okay, next, I'm going to show you the next one that is kind of more of a modern book, but I would say this is probably moving into classics territory, and basically the rest of this haul is going to be classics. So I've broken it up into Australian classics and classics from the rest of the world. So let's get into it. The first one is The Secret River by Kate Grenville. Now this is historical fiction, but let me just see what year it was written. So it was written in 2005. So this is probably, of the rest of this, the most modern. Everything else was written much longer ago. So The Secret River by Kate Grenville. Now I read a Kate Grenville book, the name of which escapes me right at the moment, but it includes the name of the character, I'm sure. And it was the one that sort of like, it was nominated. I'll put it up on the screen. So anyway, I read it and really enjoyed it. And so I've sort of been like, if ever I see a Kate Grenville book, this is from her backlist, obviously, because that other one was one that was nominated for a prize last year. What is it called? Anyway, Restless Dolly Maunder, that's what it's called. Restless Dolly Maunder. And it was nominated for a prize last year, I think. Anyway, this is from her backlist. But this is considered to be sort of like maybe her best work. So yeah, I'm interested to get to it. And it seems like it is a historical fiction. So it says, in the early 19th century, William Thornhill is transported from the slums of London to New South Wales for the term of his natural life. He arrives with his wife Sal and their children in a harsh land he does not understand. 8 years later, Thornhill sails up the Hawkesbury as a free man. The Hawkesbury is a river in New South Wales, where I live. As a free man to claim 100 acres. Aboriginal people already live on that river, and Thornhill will soon have to make the most difficult decision of his life. Inspired by research into her own family history, just like Restless Dolly Maunder, Kate Grenville's The Secret River is a tour de force, a powerful and groundbreaking story about life on the frontier. So that sounds really interesting, and I'm excited to get to it. Another sort of more modern Australian classic is this one, The True History of the Kelly Gang by Peter Carey. So this is one that I got this for $2, mind you. It also has like deckled edges, which is weird for this book for me. I don't know why. I don't know why that seems weird to me. So it doesn't have a synopsis. So I can't really even tell you what this is about, but Ned Kelly was a bushranger, like in the early white settlement of Australia. There were these guys that they called bushrangers who basically were like highway robbers, I guess, in some ways, or like, but they hid in the bush and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so Ned Kelly is like probably the most famous of these. He sort of has this, there's ongoing kind of like debate about whether he was a good or a bad person, like because of his family circumstances and the things that happened to him, you know, where things were maybe like, you know, a bit of a setup, or that, you know, there was corrupt police and so on. So, you know, there's kind of like a, you know, it's not a he's a bad man or he's a good man situation. There's nuance there. Anyway, so this, I believe, focuses on his gang. Yeah, so, but this is considered to be an Australian classic. I just don't have a synopsis for you. So anyway, hopefully I'll get to read that at some point, but I'm glad to have it in my collection now. And it's a nice little edition. It cost me $2. Bargain. Okay, 2 more to go in the Australian portion of this collection. This is Patrick White's The Twyborn Affair. So Patrick White, so this one I think was written in the 70s. So again, we're talking modern classic. Yeah, 1979 it was first published. Yeah, so I'm sort of, I just happened to find these books. This is the thrifting kind of, you've got to go with where the river takes you, you know, like when you go to the thrift stores. So yeah. Anyway, this is what I seem to be finding. So it says, Eddie Twyborn is bisexual and beautiful, the son of a judge and a drunken mother. With this androgynous hero, and it's got several names. So Eudoxia Eddie / Edith Twyborn. And through his search for identity, for self-affirmation and love in its many forms, Patrick White takes us on a journey into the ambiguous landscapes, sexual, psychological and spiritual, of the human condition. So, I mean, interesting that we're talking about those topics in 1979. I'm curious to know, you know, what that looks like in the context of 1979 as opposed to now. So yeah. Interesting. Patrick White, I think, is a bit divisive, so I don't know that everybody considers him to be as good as, but he won a lot of awards throughout his writing career, so I don't know. The last of the books, and this is probably the oldest of the Australian classics because it was published originally in 1955, is the Shiralee by Darcy Niland. This is a very old Penguin copy, and it is the copy from, this is the reprint from 1979. So it was when that last book was written, which is interesting. But I believe this is also considered to be an Australian classic as well. So it says, to Macaulay, the child was his Shiralee, a burden and a handicap, and also a constant reminder of bitterness and failure. It was in his nature to do things the hard way, the way he saw it. There was no other choice. What he hadn't taken into account was the child's overwhelming need for love. Few books have captured the spirit of the Australian bush and the hardy people of the outback so vividly and powerfully as this poignant novel by Darcy Niland. The Shiralee has moved and entertained people all over the world, both as a best-selling novel and as a successful motion picture which starred Peter Finch, Elizabeth Sellers and Dana Wilson. I feel like I've heard of Peter Finch before, but I don't know either of those other two people. So anyway, it's a short one, although the print is fairly small, but yeah, even so, it's less than 200 pages, so could be a quickish read. Anyway, I've got that now in the collection, ready to go. Okay, bear with me for a moment. Move some more books across. Here we go. Okay. Now we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more to go, and they're all classics. We're going to start with the modern classics and move into the kind of older classics. So starting here with, I've done a little bit of censorship because there's a nipple there. But this is Isabel Allende's The Stories of Eva Luna. So I have been on a bit, if you've watched my last couple of hauls, I have hauled Isabel Allende books. Again, I still have only read one. So I'm going off the strength of that one, which is The House of the Spirits. But yeah, this one I have heard good things about. So it says, commanded by her lover to tell him a story he has never heard before, Eva Luna spins a skein I never know how to say that word. I've seen it written many times. Skein. Skeen? Skein? Skeen? Skeen? I don't know. Anyway, that weaves in and out of the colour and passion of the harsh, sun-impacted landscapes of South America. Her stories encompass gorillas and fortune tellers. Gorillas as in Guerrillas, not the animal. And fortune tellers, tyrants and beauties, whores and peasants. Her themes tangle with politics and poverty, passion, pain and tragedy, and throughout the simple longing of the human heart for happiness is tempered by hope. So that's Eva Luna. Happy to have that one for my collection now. I need to read some more Isabel Allende this year. This is The Book of Daniel by E.L. Doctorow. This is, again, relatively modern classic, I would say. Yeah, 1971. This edition was published in 2015, but it was originally published in 1971. The Book of Daniel. Now, I've heard somebody talking about this. I can't recall who it was. As I feel like they were saying it was a favourite classic, but if I just can't remember who. Anyway, if you know, let me know down in the comments. But anyway, it says, as Cold War hysteria inflames America, FBI agents pay a surprise visit to a communist man and his wife in their New York apartment. After a trial that divides the country, the couple are sent to the electric chair for treason. I think we all know which couple we're talking about here. More than a decade later, in 1967, their son Daniel struggles to understand the tragedy of their lives. But while he is tormented by his past and trying to appreciate his own wife and son, Daniel is also haunted, like millions of others, by the need to come to terms with a country destroying itself in the Vietnam War. A stunning fictionalization of a political drama that tore the United States apart. The Book of Daniel is an intensely moving tale of political martyrdom and the search for meaning. So, sounds really good. Hopefully I'll get a chance to read that sometime soon. These next classics I'm not going to give you the synopsis of because they're well-known classics, I think, I would say. So, yeah, I'm just going to show you what I got. So this is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I have read this before, but I don't think I owned a nice copy of it. So I now have that in the, these are the modern classics, yeah, the Penguin modern classics that have the kind of like duck egg blue spines, which I think are a really nice series, and also nicely spaced and a nice font. So that will be a nice reread at some point. Nice is the wrong word. A good reread. It was a book I enjoyed at the time when I read it, probably about, the last time would have been maybe, let's say 10 years ago or more. So yeah, I'm probably due a reread of this book at some point because I think it is an important one. So I'm glad I now have a copy of that one. Katherine Mansfield, I purchased this. This is, I don't know if you are a classics collector, like I am, this is a Wordsworth edition, and in my opinion, these are the worst, and I don't collect them as a general rule. They're the worst because the covers are absolutely horrific. So this is the cover for this one, but it is the collected stories of Katherine Mansfield, who was born in New Zealand in 1888, came to London to go to school, and then wrote up until her death in 1923. So yeah, this is a full collection. So I've kind of like put aside that I hate these editions with a passion, because it is a good sized collection of quite a few short stories. Like there's a lot in here, and this is over 663 pages long. So there's quite a few stories in there. I don't know if I'm going to sit and read them all one by one. I might sort of like look online and see, you know, which of the short stories you know, ones that people recommend, etc., and maybe just dip in and out. So you may not hear me speaking about this one even if I am reading it, because I will not be necessarily reading the whole thing cover to cover. But yeah, I found it, I picked it up, I bought it, even though it's a Wordsworth edition, and I think they're awful. The next one is a nice edition. This is T.S. Eliot Selected Poems, and it includes all the classics that you would expect to be there. In that, if you've ever studied, I remember studying the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock at school, and then The Wasteland is there for all the different parts of The Wasteland. So it's just a nice edition with French flaps, not deckled edges, but it's just a really neat little edition, so I'm excited to have that. I picked up a vintage edition, as in vintage the publisher, not a vintage edition, like old, of Moby-Dick by Herman Melville. I don't know when I'm going to get to this one, but this is one I did not have a copy of, so now I do. So yeah, and I've got quite a few of these red spine vintage editions, so adding that to the collection. The pile's getting pretty big. This I thought was a really nice little edition, and I haven't seen these ones before. It's put out, it's called Mint Editions. Mint Edition books. Ooh, somebody's left a ticket in here. I'll leave that in there as a little bookmark. But yeah, anyway, this is The People of the Abyss by Jack London, which is, I don't know anything about this book itself. I know of Jack London, but I didn't know about this particular book of his. So anyway, I just liked the look of the thing. It was only a couple of dollars, so I decided to pick it up. And the last one is The Rainbow by D.H. Lawrence, which I picked up in this black spine penguin edition. And again, I don't really know anything about this particular book of D.H. Lawrence's. Obviously, I know about D.H. Lawrence. So this one's set in the Midlands, and it revolves around 3 generations of the Brangwens, a strong, vigorous family deeply involved with the land. When Tom Brangwen marries a Polish widow, Lydia Lenski, and adopts her daughter Anna as his own, he is unprepared for the conflict and passion that erupts between them. All are seeking individual fulfillment, but it is Ursula, Anna's spirited daughter, who, in her search for self-knowledge, rejects the conventional role of womanhood. Sounds interesting. There is an introduction here written by James Wood, whoever that might be. But yeah, so anyway, excited to have another D.H. Lawrence in my collection. So that's the haul, that's it. I had a very good January, and I already have a very healthy pile of books to haul for February, because I've been doing some secondhand shopping, and that stack is once again starting to get quite high. So anyway, I better find a place for all of these, and yeah, start maybe going through my shelves a little bit, because I genuinely don't know where these are going to go. I also need to stop buying books. That's probably the answer there. Or buy more bookshelves. Either of those two things would solve the problem. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.